Okay, so back to this concept of whether or not consciousness plays a role in manifestation, in the manifestation of the physical world. In other words, does our consciousness or the collective consciousness play a role in physical things manifesting? And in an infinite universe, we may have everything possibly available. There may be every possible imaginable combination of material pattern that exists in the universe. So out there somewhere there might be any given thing, created by apparently any given person or any given entity. We don't really know, because we don't know what the whole universe is like. But we do know that our consciousness, what we perceive in the universe, is related to what we do. In other words, we can move from one place to another. You can go, into a different environment, and in that different environment, you see different things. And so, in a sense, your consciousness is affecting what is in your physical environment in some way, and that's incontrovertible. I mean, there's no argument against that. There can't be. But to what extent does the subconscious, does a consciousness on some level play a role in what actually is available? In other words, in an infinite universe, if the universe is infinite, to what degree can controlling your consciousness, and I'm not talking about just in this physical body, I'm talking about transcendentally. And so if you don't understand or ascribe to the concept that the spirit transcends the physical world, then you're kind of going to be lost in this. And just a caveat for the people in that camp. And then there's, I think there were a few comments on this video from Wukdar and Cosmic Zen, and I think that both of you guys are just completely missing what's going on here, because Cosmic Zen says to imply consciousness implies choice. Matter does not decide how it will be. It follows the laws always. No differentiation without other differences. Now, that's true, but the you don't know what consciousness is. You have to see that what consciousness is outside of our normal notion of physics. Our three-dimensional reality, the three-dimensional objects in our world do not tell us anything about what consciousness is. And so the mechanisms of consciousness are obviously related to them because of the physical laws that we do know about. In other words, we know that the brain is affected by electricity, and we know that every electrical thing affects the way the brain works in subtle ways, in primarily unconscious ways that we're not conscious of. And so all of the other physical objects in the universe, things that cannot be taken out of the universe, somehow affect consciousness in very subtle ways. And if you studied on the quantum level, if you studied on the cosmic level, if you look at it as one piece, as one thing, it becomes fairly obvious that you can't separate what is your physical mechanism from what is the process of that mechanism thinking or being conscious, the state of being conscious. And so Wukdosh says, when will you understand that consciousness is really rare out there in the universe? Well, there again, we haven't really been, for one thing, we haven't really been out there in the universe. And for the second thing, every photon that strikes this planet from out there affects what's going on here in some sort of way that we are not aware of. Now, to say that this consciousness is in here is a big mistake. That is the terrible error. And you can use the the concept of the phone. To say that the people that I talk to on here are in this phone, that's crazy. But somebody that didn't understand how this works might think that. And so don't make that mistake. And I'm really, I don't want to, there's really no reason for me to get angry about it. But at the same time, it's a terrible error, that it's a terrible ignorance that pervades, that this is somehow what it does. This and what it does are completely separate. Because the things that we do with the phone have absolutely nothing to do with what the phone is. You know, I can take a picture with the camera on this phone without knowing how it works. And we do that all the time. But some people understand how it works. And some people study how physical things manifest throughout the world, in our time space, in ways that underlie our visual perception of it, our physical contact with it. You don't see the radio waves that transmit the signal. You don't see the photons. If I look at it like this, if I'm looking at it like this when I'm taking the picture, I don't see the light rays that strike the phone. I can't see them from an angle that's anything other than orthogonal because of the polarization of light. And so to say that this isn't receiving stuff from elsewhere that is connected maybe to everything else that's physical. A memory is persistent. How do you explain the persistence of a memory in something that is so chaotic? It's like a physical object, isn't it? And so what if memories are actually somehow attached to persistent physical objects in ways that we have no way to map, because we are embedded in this cosmic soup? And so that's the perspective that I'm coming from. And so when I'm talking about consciousness creating matter, when I'm questioning, and I haven't decided on this, but I'm questioning whether it does because of some of the things that have happened or that I've been able to do, because of some of the things that I've been able to do, or the things that have happened to me, whichever way you want to look at it. I question that now. And so it's it could be that there are multiple universes. It could be that there are many worlds that we travel through, and that like I said earlier, that there is everything out there, that everything is possible. And so the process of navigating the multiverse is that manifestation of the material world via consciousness.